Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Lodhi Audiobooks. Luckily, I found this book in English, Splendour of the Sacred Way. This is annotated translation of Bahar-e-Shariat, Volume 1, Faith and Doctrine, Imam Amjad Aazami. So we will start this book in English, and I hope this book will help the children and adults also, all age people who can understand only English, to understand the proper meaning of faith and doctrine. As usual, I will skip all the prefaces and I will start from the chapter 1, Belief in Allah Jalla Wajduhu and His attributes Azza wa Jal. There is only one God, Allah Azza wa Jal. He has no partner, neither in His self nor in His attributes, nor in His actions, nor in His commands, nor in His names. He is Wajib al-Wujud, that is, His existence is necessary and it is impossible for Him to be inexistent. He is Qadim, which means He has always existed without a beginning. He is Baqi, that is, He will exist forever without an end. He alone is worthy and deserving of being worshipped. He is absolutely independent and does not need anybody or anything, and everything else is in need of Him. It is impossible to comprehend or imagine His essence, Zat, because anything that can be comprehended or imagined will be bounded by the intellect, and He is boundless. However, we can gain a general idea about His attributes by His actions, and then knowledge of His attributes leads one to attain gnosis about His self. His attributes are not His self per se, nor are they separate or dissociated from Him. In other words, His self and His attributes are not the same thing, nor are His attributes separate from His self. Just as His self means Zat, His attributes are also pre-eternal. He exists without a beginning, Azali, and will exist forever, Abadi. His attributes are not His creation, nor subject to divine power. Everything is an accident, an occurrence, hadith, except for the self, Zat, and attributes, Sifat of Allah Azza wa Jal. Here some meanings are written which already explained above. Whoever holds the belief or says that the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal are accidents, hadith, is a heretic. Whoever says that anything else other than Allah is pre-eternal, Qadim, or doubts that everything else has come into existence at some point in time, Hudud, is a kafir. Allah is neither the father nor the son of anyone, nor does He have a spouse. Whoever says that he has a father or a son or a wife is certainly a kafir. In fact, whoever deems it to be within the realm of possibility for Allah to have a son or wife is a heretic. He is ever living, and He gives life to every living thing. He gives life or death to anyone or anything whenever He wills. His power, Qudra, encompasses every contingent thing. No contingent thing is beyond his divine power. That which is impossible to exist, Muhal, is precluded from divine power. Because Muhal, by the very definition, means something that is impossible to exist. And if it were subject to divine power, Maktur, it would become possible for it to exist, which means that it would not be Muhal anymore. For instance, it is impossible, Muhal, for another God to exist. If another God were subject to divine power, then it would be possible for such a God to exist. Then it ceases to be impossible anymore. And if one does not believe that it is impossible, yani Muhal, for another God to exist, he rejects monotheism, Tawheed. Similarly, annihilation and fana of the creature is impossible, Muhal. If it were subject to divine power, it would then become possible for him to be annihilated, and that which can be annihilated cannot be God, which proves that one who believes that the impossible, Muhal, is included in divine power has in essence rejected God. It is not necessary for everything within divine power, Maqdur, to actually exist. However, it should be contingent, mumkin, for it to be subject to divine power, even if such a thing does not exist. He is absolutely perfect, and his attributes are that of perfection. He is transcendent from every flaw and free from any fault. It is impossible, Muhal, for a flaw or fault to be present in him. Rather, he is transcendent from even those attributes which have neither perfection nor flaws. For example, falsehood, deceit, breach of trust, oppression, ignorance, shamelessness, etc. are all flaws, and it is absolutely impossible for these flaws to exist in him. Therefore, one who claims that Allah has power over falsehood to mean that his speech can contain falsehood actually claims that the impossible is possible and that the Lord Almighty is flawed and has faults. Rather, such a person has rejected God himself. It is absurd to believe that the divine power of the Lord will become defective if Muhal is precluded from it. And why should it be so? If there is indeed a flaw, then it is in that Muhal itself, which is unworthy of being associated with divine power. His essential attributes, al-Sifat al-Zatiyah, are life, haya, power, Qudra, hearing, sama, seeing, basar, speech, kalam, knowledge, ilm, will, irada. But his hearing, seeing, speech is not by eyes, ears or the tongue, because these are limbs and he is transcendent from corporality. He can hear the faintest of sounds and can see the most infinitesimally small thing, including those minute particles that cannot be seen by the most powerful microscope. His hearing or seeing is not dependent on anything. He sees and hears everything that exists. Similar to other divine attributes, his speech is also pre-eternal, Qadim, and it is neither an accident, hadith, nor a creation, makhluk of Allah Azza wa Jal. One who claims that the Holy Quran is created is a kafir according to our Imam Abu Hanifa and others. In fact, the noble companions have made takfir of such a person. Divine speech transcends sound. The Quran that we recite with our tongues, written in the Mushaf, is in essence the pre-eternal speech without sound. Our recitation, writing, and these sounds are all accidents, hadith, but that which was recited and is written in pre-eternal, our memory is an accident, but that which have memorized is pre-eternal. That which is the source of light is pre-eternal, and the reflected light is an accident, an occurrence. His knowledge encompasses everything, the specifics of the constituents of a thing and the whole of it. All that exists, mawjood, and all that does not exist, madum. Everything that is contingent and even those things that are impossible. He knew everything is pre-eternity, in pre-eternity, knows it now and shall know forever. Things change, but his knowledge does not change. He knows the innermost thoughts in every heart, the whisperings and whims, the desires and fancies. His knowledge is infinite. He knows the unseen and the manifest. His knowledge is absolutely his own and belongs to him alone. It is his exclusive attribute. Whoever attributes Zati knowledge to anyone else other than the Lord Almighty Allah, whether unseen or the manifest, is a kafir. Zati knowledge means that one possesses knowledge unseen or apparent by oneself without being informed by Allah Azza wa Jal. He is the creator. Whether beings or actions, everything is created by him. He is the actual giver of sustenance, risk. Angels and others are means of delivering it. He has destined taqdeer everything, whether good or evil, according to his pre-eternal knowledge. He knew in pre-eternity all that would happen and everything that everyone would do, and accordingly he has inscribed everything. Thus, it is not that we are compelled to do according to what he has written, rather he has written what we would do. For example, Zaid would do something evil and thus he wrote evil for him. If Zaid were to do good, he would have written good for him. The Prophet ﷺ has described those who denied destiny as the Magians of this nation. Destiny is of three kinds: absolutely irrevocable, Mubram Hakiki. Only Allah knows this, and this cannot change for any reason whatsoever. Merely suspended, Mulk Mahas. This is mentioned in the books of angels to be alterable depending on certain things. Suspended but apparently immutable, Mulk Shabiba Mubram. In the book of angels, this kind is not mentioned as alterable, but in the knowledge of Allah it is alterable. The first kind, as it is named, is absolutely irrevocable, even if the greatest among the beloved one of Allah implore him to alter it. They are advised to forsake their expectation concerning its change. Angels were sent to punish the people of Lut. Our Master Ibrahim ﷺ, who was mercy personified, implored Allah Ta'ala to forgive them. After all, his blessed name itself means Abraham, or merciful father. He supplicated and beseeched his Lord Almighty to such an extent that he even argued with the Lord Almighty, as said in the Quran, Yujadiluna fi qawmi Lut. He began arguing with us concerning the people of Lut. Incidentally, this verse refutes heretics who claim that nobody, not even the beloved ones of Allah Azza wa Jal, have any esteem or eminence near Allah. subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they say nobody can utter a word in front of him. Yet the Lord Almighty has himself said, He began arguing with us concerning the people of Lut about Ibrahim alayhi salam, which shows the eminence of prophets in his presence. It is mentioned in Hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard a voice during his ascension, Miraj, the voice of someone talking with Allah loudly and fervently. Our master asked Jibreel alayhi salam, "Who is this?" And he replied that it was Musa alayhi salam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "Does he speak with his Lord thus in such an ardent manner?" Jibreel alayhi salam replied, "His Lord knows that he has a fiery and fervent nature." In the Quran, Allah Ta'ala said, وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى, and very soon your sustainer will give you so much that you will be pleased. When the above verses was revealed, Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the master of the beloved one of Allah, Sayyidul Muhibbin, said, "If so, I shall not be pleased so as long as single follower of mine is in the fire." These are the high stations and ranks of the beloved one of Allah Ta'ala, whose eminence is unsurpassed in the presence of their Lord Almighty. May the blessing of Allah Ta'ala be upon them and salutations of peace. Even the miscarried fetus is mentioned in the Hadith thus: on the day of judgment, the miscarried fetus will contend for the forgiveness of its parents, similar to a creditor wrangling with the debtor, until the miscarried child will be told, "O arguing fetus, take your parents by the hand and go into paradise." Anyway, this was mentioned only as an answer to an objection, which will hopefully be beneficial for believers and effective in repelling the nastiness of human devils. The point that we were discussing in this divine punishment for the people of Lut was an absolutely irrevocable ordainment, Kada Mubram Hakiki, and when the friend of Allah, Khalilullah alayhi salam, kept insisting, hoping to intercede and gain pardon, he was commanded to refrain from such as thought. Ya Ibrahimu, arid an haza innahu qad jaa amru rabbika wa innahum atihim azabun ghayru mardud. Translation: O Ibrahim, turn away from this plea. Verily, the decree of your Lord has come, and for them a punishment shall come to pass which cannot be averted. Destiny which is suspended, Mulk, is alterable, and this can be changed by prayers and intercessions of the friends of Allah, awliya, and that which is intermediate, which is apparently unalterable and thus inscribed in the books of angels, but this can be changed by the prayers and intercession of prominent awliya. This is what our master, Ghaus al-Azam, Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, meant when he said, "I can intercede and make the unalterable decree, Mubram, to change." This is the same kind of apparently unalterable decree mentioned in the Hadith. Verily, supplication, words of the unalterable decree. Note 1. Matters of predestination and divine decree are extremely complicated and cannot be understood by common folk and ordinary minds. Attempting to understand these mysteries and delving deep in researching these issues is perilous and may lead one to perdition. When our masters Abu Bakr al-Siddiq and Umar al-Faruq were forbidden from discussing these matters, how can you and I hope to comprehend them? One should just know that Allah Ta'ala has not created humans insentient and motionless like rocks and trees. He has given them a limited choice, free will to do a certain action or abstain from it. Together he has given them intelligence to discern between good and evil, benefit and loss, and also gave them access to means such that those means will be available to them when they, humans, wish to do a certain action. Accountability of humans is for making the choice to act or to abstain from it. It is hearsay to consider oneself absolutely compelled and powerless, hence having no accountability for one's action, or completely independent and free from destiny. Note 2. It is reprehensible enough to commit an evil act. It is worse to attribute it to destiny and to the divine will of Allah, as if the person committing evil has no responsibility for his action. Rather, when one does a good deed, one should attribute it to the guidance and grace of Allah Ta'ala, and if a sin or evil act is committed, one should consider it due to the evil of one's own lower self, nafs. Allah Azza wa Jal is free from being in a direction, place, time, motion or stillness, that is from movement or being at rest, shape, form and all attributes of accidents, hawadis. The vision of Allah Azza wa Jal in this world is a special attribute given only to our Master Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and it is possible, rather a certain and an expected occurrence for every Sunni Muslim in the hereafter. However, beholding him by the heart is proven for not only prophets but also awliya. It is reported that Imam Aazam Abu Hanifa Radhiyallahu anhu saw Allah Ta'ala 100 times in his dreams. Muslim will see Allah, and that vision will be without modality. That is, one who sees him cannot describe how he has seen, because anything else we see has a distance, near or far, and a direction in relation to the person seeing that thing, up, down, right, left, front and back. Allah Ta'ala is free from existing in a space or being in a direction. Then how will he be seen? Indeed, that is what I am saying. No one can describe the manner in which he will be seen, and Allah willing, we will probably be able to say how we saw him. It is also impossible for anything, even sight, to encompass him. He does what he wills and as he wills. No one can restrict him, nor can anyone restrain him from doing what he wills. He does not get drowsy, nor is he overcome by sleep. He watches everything in the creation. He is neither tired nor does he become weary or fatigued. He gives sustenance to everything in the creation. He is more merciful and benevolent than one's own parents. He is the most forbearing, Al-Halim. His benevolence is the comfort for broken hearts, and he alone is worthy of greatness and glory. He creates humans in the wombs of their mothers as he pleases. He forgives sins and accepts repentance. His force is infinite. His wrath is severe. His anger is fierce. His grasp is powerful, and no one can escape him except when he himself chooses to release them. He can extend a small thing to make it into an enormously vast one, or shrink a gigantic thing into a tiny speck. He can give honor to the despicable and elevate the lowly to be respectable, or humiliate the honorable or disgrace the noble. He guides whom he wills on the straight path, and whom he wills, he will let them go astray. He can grant his closeness to whom he wills, and forsake whom he wills, or spurn from his grace whom he wishes. He can give anything he wishes to whoever he wishes, and take away anything he wishes from whoever he wishes. Whatever he does is just and equitable. He is transcendent from being unfair. He is free from cruelty and oppression. He is the highest, the most majestic and the greatest. He, with his power and knowledge, encompasses everyone and everything. no one and nothing can encompass him. Benefit and harm, welfare and ruin, blessing and deprivation are in his power. He aids the oppressed and those denied justice and avenges injustice, punishes the cruel, the tyrants and the oppressors. Nothing can happen without his will. He is pleased with good deeds and is displeased with bad deeds and sins. It is entirely from his mercy that he does not command us to do something beyond our capability. It is not obligatory for Allah Ta'ala to give reward or punishment, nor is it necessary for him to do only that which is beneficial for his creation. He is the absolute sovereign, the absolute Lord Almighty. He can do whatever he wills and commands as he wills. However, because of his infinite mercy, he has promised Muslims that he will grant them paradise, and because of his infinite justice, he will cast the infidels and disbelievers into hell. His promise of reward and the punishment do not change. He does not contravene his promises. He has promised that he shall forgive very small and big sin, even enormities, for anyone he pleases, except that he shall not forgive disbelief and polytheism. For this video, we will finish here and we will continue in the next video, inshallah. Till then, Allah Hafiz. We will meet again in the next video. Please share with many people you can who cannot understand Urdu and who can understand English only. So it will be beneficial for them. Thank you for listening, and please continue to listen. You must subscribe, because 80% people who are listening to my channel, they still not subscribed. Subscribing is just like appreciation that I know people are listening and someone is getting benefited by my videos. Thanks a lot. Allah Hafiz.